Happy Sunday morning, Prepared Mind crew. You know, it's um, it's a beautiful morning out, a beautiful day for a little bit of personal spiritual prayer, a little bit of time for a personal reflection. And I can't help it. I just can't. For me, it's also a time just to think about what's going on. Well, this news story popped up, and there's a link down below about the U.S. Coast Guard and one of their commandos taking over a small type of submarine, like a submarine boat or a boat that's mostly submerged, so it can, I guess, presumably operate with a smaller detectable footprint. Still, from the air, everything in the water is visible. I mean, if you can see a blue whale in the blue ocean while flying overhead, you can see a submarine, right? But it looks like it was part of a larger operation. And what I want to describe here is that things are happening right now, and I don't believe they're being what is being portrayed, even in the right-wing media, may not be touching, right, or recognizing all of the tentacles of what's going on. You know, I go back and forth about Trump. Is he a puppet? Is he a puppet on the good side? Is he his own man? And there's evidence to support all angles, and people usually grab onto one and then they commit to it. Well, I don't commit to any of it. I want to keep an open mind, and I want to continue to add information. What we've seen just in the last couple of weeks, the last month, has been a staggering change. You might even say a sea change, if we take into account what's going on with naval vessels. What is going on with naval vessels? Well, they've been being found with large amounts of cocaine, illegal drugs. That large shipping container that was boarded or searched and discovered to have well over $1 billion in cocaine. And that boat just happened to be owned, even though it had a foreign flag, happened to be owned by J.P. Morgan. Now, I believe in small coincidences, right? Like, tiny things, inconsequential things. But when things are big, when things are worth millions and billions of dollars, and they are coincidentally, run into each other, things happen. I don't buy that. Just like I don't buy that last year Trump signed his, or maybe it was back in 2017, I think it was December of 2017. Whenever it was, he signed his information, his executive order about human trafficking and how they're going to seize, right, on people doing illegal things. And then just recently we had Epstein brought back up, and he is screaming immunity, he's screaming double jeopardy, he's screaming everything he can, having his lawyers scream, trying to get away, right? He is got one paw caught in the trap, and he can't get away, but he's allowed to scream all he wants, I suppose. But take this Epstein thing, and take the fact that a ship, and the news story was either they're ignorant or deliberately vague, talking about the East Pacific Ocean. How about the west coast of the United States? That's where the Coast Guard is, right? From Vancouver all the way down to San Diego. That's Coast Guard territory, right? As well as Hawaii, but I guess if they were in Hawaii, they would have to say Central Pacific Ocean. Why don't they just say West Coast? It was a huge West Coast bust, right? And it is my belief, or it is, maybe we'll say, my theory. It's a working theory, as many of my theories are, that the Coast Guard and their commandos, right, they forced this boat to stop. They jumped on it. This commando did some daring stuff, and they call it high stakes. Well, stakes is gambling, wagering, and you don't gamble with your life, but the military is often used that way. Well, in this case, they were used for good. Over in Afghanistan, right, my brethren, the United States Marines, were used for bad. They were used to guard poppy fields, which is used to make heroin and other opiates, right, which hook people. But that was an example of where our military, our government was being used to protect and help proliferate a program whereby illicit drugs are created, grown, manufactured, processed, and then shipped and distributed and sold. And those funds that go from it go to pay for black projects, illegal stuff, CIA crap, right? And they've been tied in with Mena, Arkansas, and drugs for decades and decades and decades, if not centuries. But certainly the CIA has been heavily engaged in this sort of activity. In fact, there's that one news lady. She's elderly. She got Bill Clinton when he was president in a press conference and asked him about Mena, Arkansas, and the CIA in illegal cocaine smuggling. I mean, and he answered the question straight. He didn't deny that there's no cocaine or that there's no CIA or that there's no Mena, Arkansas. I mean, it was incredible. And everyone just sleeps on it. Well, it's because, in my opinion, everyone knows what's going on and everyone knows who the players are. And it's a secret that is kept in broad daylight, just like this kind of daylight, right? I'm in the shade, but everyone still knows I'm sitting here. I don't have to be brightly illuminated by the sun to know that I'm here, right? So, the movie The Untouchables, it was a great redo with Sean Connery and Andy Garcia and Kevin Costner. There was a line in it where there's several places where this idea came up, where Sean Connery, who was an old Irish policeman in Chicago, while they're trying to get Al Capone and stop his illegal liquor sales and his illegal racketeering, he says, "What are you willing to do?" And he's like, "I want to arrest him and enforce the law and use all means necessary." And then, Sean Connery asks him, now, what are you willing to do? What else are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? Do you want, right, a war? If someone brings a stick, you bring a knife. If they bring a knife, you bring a gun. If they kill one of yours, you kill 10 of theirs. Is that what we're seeing right now? Just in the last couple of weeks, has the deep state war gone hot? In other words, the two examples we have are billions of dollars in cocaine being stopped. The example we have is Epstein being drugged right back up and exposed as a quasi-military government spy, extortionist, racketeering tool. Right? He's just a puppet. He's a powerful billionaire puppet, but nonetheless, he's a puppet compared to this deep state Leviathan that controls him and controls the drug trade. Right? They are huge and hugely powerful. And when you see drug busts of the size we're seeing, there is no bullshit declared war on drugs. That's illegal. We know where the drugs are, just like everyone knew where Capone's alcohol was. And in fact, it was in a post office in the movie, in the basement of the post office. Right? The government was being used and is in part cooperating and participating at varying levels of knowing and unknowing, and different levels in the hierarchy of what's going on. The government knows about the drugs. Everyone knows about the drugs. Everyone knows where it's at, and they have to shut up. They have to be quiet. But now we're seeing it stopped. Is this all an accident? Is it all a coincidence that a J.P. Morgan-owned foreign vessel was transporting cargo containers, sea containers full of cocaine up, and they're being caught down in the Caribbean, and they're being caught off the west coast of America? Is it a coincidence that they've also going after big-time child traffickers, perverts, pedophiles? These people, they should be quaking in their boots, and I bet they are. Is this part of a larger campaign that is finally starting to surface? Has the anti-cabal, in part led by Trump, who's the figurehead, the front piece, is this cabal now openly in war with the anti-cabal? right? The deep state and the anti-deep state. The bad guys versus the good guys, if you will go that far as to call them good guys. It's another faction, right? We're starting to see this come out. What other ways have we seen it? Well, there was an attempt to get us in war with North Korea, and Trump went in and did his thing and kind of stopped it. Then there was an attempt to get us into another war with Syria, and that was engaged by Trump and kind of stopped. And then we go to, where are we at now? Iran. And we're seeing threats by Trump, same as he did with North Korea and Syria. But we're also seeing deep state false flag attacks. That's three different kind of examples of what's going on. You've got the military wanting, or the bad guys wanting to use the military to continue their imperialistic conquest over the energy sector, right? Part of that was Iraq, what's going on in Yemen, what happened in Libya, what was attempted in Syria, what happened in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was more about the drugs. But, there's money in drugs. That's the military leg. The drug leg that we're now seeing being openly attacked. And if we continue to see these large busts, whether it's being done by the Coast Guard, the military, happening in our ports, if we start seeing that kind of enforcement at that high level, that is a very strong indicator. I mean, I've seen 3 big ones now. I'm sure there are a lot more, but if one more gets out there, I'm going to say without a doubt, this is a sea change. This is a giant change in direction. And that there is an open war, a covert open war. The same way in Vietnam, the CIA was there, and they're called advisors, right? You had Mac VSOG, and you had other organizations. They were in a war. They were fighting in Vietnam. It just wasn't declared openly in the press. But everyone who had any idea of what was going on, an inkling, understood what was happening. Right? That was also a war about communist aggression, but also a drug war. Anyways, let's move along. The third leg of this is, how do they get people into the spider's net? How did this Leviathan, this monster puppeteer with strings and attachments into everything, how do they continue to get politicians, lawyers, judges, financiers? How do they continue to get businessmen wrapped up in this axle and get caught in the spokes and then drug into this system where they can be exploited, extorted, blackmailed, and controlled? Well, they do several things, right? Offer them lucrative business deals, kind of like Elon Musk. Why is this guy get all of this federal money, these loans, all of this help and assistance? And he's operating a business that is on the brink of failure, right? Never mind the need to fund new technologies, etc. Why Elon Musk? Right? Why not someone else? Why not 2 or 3? Why just one? Why is there one Facebook? Why is there one Google? Why is everything pushed into ones? Well, that means monopoly, right? Monopolies are controlled. There is a drug control. The war on terror, in my opinion, was to stop, Pablo Escobar. It was to stop competing factions who didn't want to participate and use the monopolistic control of the CIA to sell their drugs into the country. There were competing factions within the drug world. And the war on drugs was not about stopping drugs, because obviously it hasn't stopped. The war on drugs was about eliminating competition. To control businessmen, you have to do a couple of things, right? You have to bribe them with money, and you have to extort them by getting them in compromising positions. So, what's your vice, right? Businessmen that take drugs, businessmen that sell drugs, banks, right? Like JP Morgan have a tremendous advantage. The CFTC, the SEC, none of them will go after JP Morgan in any real and meaningful way to stop all of the corruption within the banking, lending, financing, investing, and any other thing they've got their tentacles in. They let them get away with it. Why? Oh yeah, $1 billion ship full of coke. That might have something to do with it. How many shiploads, shipping containers, how many billions and trillions of dollars have been shipped around the world, including into the United States, of illicit, illegal drugs in the framework of well-known U.S. corporations and what they own? And they're supposed to have easy passage. Don't look at that container. That's nothing there. Don't worry about it. But it's actually drugs, and people turn their head, they take a bribe, they take a payout, and they're allowed in. They're allowed into the port, they're allowed past customs, right? You've got military there saying you will not look into that, it's national security. Here's some papers, here's a handful of fucking notes, wink wink. But these businessmen and politicians, lawyers, bankers, etc., are controlled through sex. The scandal of sex. I mean, they tried saying Trump shouldn't be president because reputedly, supposedly, and they never proved or had any evidence, and it failed, that he peed on a girl or a girl peed on him in a Russian hotel room. That's the best they could come up with. They've got a picture of Epstein before he got in trouble, not after, with Trump and other women just standing around at it looks like a very publicly attended, maybe not publicly, but well-attended party. Once he was busted, it's my understanding that Trump said no more coming on Trump properties. They never have gotten Trump into this spider web, and now Trump is president. That's why he is such a threat to these people. But everyone else, if they don't go after Epstein, if they don't want to hang him out to dry, it's because they're involved with him. And they have been compromised. They got on the Lolita Express and had compromising pictures taken with them. A thinker, a friend, a compatriot in this Prepared Mind network said yesterday, really, how many of these powerful businessmen, and I'm paraphrasing what he wrote, how many of these powerful businessmen, when they get all of this power and money and success, and then you put them on a plane going to Orgy Island, Epstein's little James Island, Little St. James, and they're that powerful, and they're rubbing shoulders with powerful elite, and there are young women there, and they're told, hey, you want some peanuts, you want a drink, you want to smoke a cigar, you want to screw a young chick? Those guys are being offered whatever they want. And this feeling of power, this untouchable attitude, is just overwhelming to them. They can't resist. Who's going to stop them? Oh yeah, President Clinton's been on this plane. Oh yeah, President Trump was on this plane 20 years ago, whatever it was. Oh yeah, presidents, princes like Prince Andrew of England have been on this plane. And they've probably been in these prostitutes as well. Who knows, right? Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's drunk, stoned out of their mind, probably snorting cocaine, right? Like a Hoover vacuum. And they get caught. Illicit drugs, orgies, underage girls. Who knows what else they do? I mean, do they have human hunting parties, right? Do they participate in satanic rituals? Who in the fuck knows for sure? But we know that these people in business, in government, in the military, in banking and finance are controlled. Everyone should come out and condemn Harvey Weinstein, but how many stood up for him, like Quentin Tarantino, and excused what he's done, while others outside in this world are castigated merely for using some harsh language or being too critical of a social movement? You're to be fired, you're to be ruined, right? You and your family are to be shamed for standing up and taking a position, while these people are committing the most lewd, lascivious, illegal, immoral, disgusting, vile, repulsive, and abominable acts. Still, the police, are dying in New York or being killed. You know, ones that have seen Anthony Weiner's insurance file on his computer. I remember and recall the discussions where people confided that other policemen were crying, literally tears, probably from sadness and shock of seeing what was on those insurance files, seeing what was in them. You know, and the rumors abound, and I don't know how true they are, but if it was enough to cause grown men to come to tears at what was being done, it had to be fucking horrifying. So there's two parts to control, and I want to get into that a little bit with you. There's two parts to control. You need to have, and this is a mafia tactic, and it's also a government tactic. They tax you, but they offer a benefit for it. It's like insurance. You pay for the insurance, but you're supposed to be protected as well. The mafia comes to your house and says, you're going to pay us protection money, but they actually offer protection. But you have to pay, or they come and get you with guns and beat your kneecaps. At least they don't throw you in jail, because the mafia knows they want you out there working so you can continue to make money and pay them protection money after they beat your kneecaps or beat your head or beat your ass. So the people that are blackmailing the military, people that are blackmailing businessmen, bankers, financiers, lawyers, judges, they offer them protection as well. They extort them and they reward them, but they also offer protection. That's the whole point of this. That is how racketeering works. There has to be an element or level of immunity from prosecution. Oh, isn't that what was said by these guys that get caught? Oh, I have legal immunity. I cut a deal. Right? Why is it Hillary is not in jail after everything she's done? The CIA or other agents in China that were killed were probably legitimate, hard-working agents, not involved in the drug side, right? They were killed. You got Benghazi. You've got Gaddafi. You've got everything that she was involved with that's illegal. Uranium One, child trafficking out of Haiti, her involvement there. Right? The lady that was smuggling kids out, Hillary got them and Bill got them off the hook and out of trouble. They were smuggling children out of Haiti after an earthquake. What the fuck? Right? So that's a level of protection that Hillary and the Clintons enjoy. They're high level, yes, but there's got to be someone above them to protect them. Are we seeing the collapse of that protection and racketeering system? Are we seeing evidence of that? Is it a coincidence? I say not. Are we seeing maybe not a collapse, but at least a confrontation? The answer to me is an obvious yes, because the war side is being confounded, right? We're seeing the death throes, the struggling that goes on with that, as the war hawks and war pigs and war dogs, they all get exposed. Bolton is out there in Pompeo looking for war every other breath they take, right? But they haven't gotten it. You know, that whole idea of keep your friends close and your enemies closer, that comes to mind, right? The fact that they want war and they haven't got it. That Trump is a saber-rattling mofo, is he not? Constantly threatening people. What about the trade war? Yeah, that's having a real effect on things. And any conflict, whether it's for good or for bad, there is, shall we say, collateral damage. Right? That means someone's got to pay for it. We're seeing the drugs getting captured and stopped. And we're seeing the involvement and application of the military and the federal bureaucracies in doing this. And it would be nice to see the FBI cleaned up. It's interesting that Comey's daughter is involved in the Epstein case. It's interesting that on Friday it was reported that the guy that was in charge of giving Epstein the deal years and years and years and years and years ago is now removed. He's resigned. Yeah, he should. He should be ashamed because he was compromised. If he wasn't part of the game that was being played, he allowed them and their power to hurt him. But that's just it. When someone with a 600-pound gorilla that's holding a bat walks up to you and says, this is the decision you're going to make, you have to choose whether you're going to let their decision become your decision or whether you're going to stand up and act like a man, say what needs to be said, act in a moral way, and accept the consequences of the responsibility you have as a man. You see, we have responsibilities. This is what people don't understand. They go, well, you don't back down, or I'm sorry, you always back down when you're being threatened. My response is no, you don't. You act like a man in all cases and in all ways. You don't give in to evil. You don't let evil win. And sometimes it's going to hurt. Standing up to evil hurts. Being bullied in high school, you get your ass beat. You didn't do anything wrong, but there's a price to pay, for evil's existence, and you have to fight it or it gets stronger. And I have to say that between the military, big business, drugs, lawyers, financiers, bankers, they have for centuries, and especially in the last 100 years, they have been running amok and nobody has stood up to them. JFK started to. JFK tried. JFK was doing what he could and he lost his head, his life. His brother was assassinated. The Kennedys were dethroned and they were humiliated behind the scenes. They were allowed to continue to exist, but as a, shall we say, very limited and dying dynasty whose name lives on through all of the false bravado and glory, but they aren't powerful, not in the way that really matters, not the way we're seeing today, not in this current system. I mean, Teddy who? Excuse me? Right? Are we seeing a war internationally as well as domestically? Are we seeing a war that is overtly in front of us and it's being covertly fought as well, and we're seeing pieces of that come up? I think so. And I'm going to continue to watch this, and as I see evidence of it, I'll share it. And the reason it's important to us is not because conspiracy theories are the ultimate objective. I love conspiracy theories and either proving or disproving or supporting or whatever, but not for the sake of having conspiracy theories. It's for the sake of learning and understanding what is going on. What is going on? Yes, that's what I want to know. Why the space lie? Right? Why the lie about our planet, the environment? Why the lies about political parties and dogma and policies? Why lie about it? Why lie about money? Why did Chief Goon Powell, there we go, Hemke, take that. Chief Goon Powell was out making excuses and telling us why the gold standard is bad this week, just several days ago, downplaying the gold standard and talking about how they needed to make money, currency. They needed to bring it into, and the way he described it is, well, we need to control its value. He didn't say keep it steady and solid, which is what a gold standard does. It standardizes everything. He described exactly what they're doing, which is slowly removing the value of the currency 2% a year. 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. Right? That's their job. That's their mandate. We don't want a gold standard. That would get rid of that. They took us off the gold standard way back in the 1930s, replaced it with a false substitute. And they played that out until they took us off the gold standard. And then they called it closing the gold window. No, we're not on the gold standard. But they continue to lie, and they have power. Why lie to us? Why not just come out and say we're screwing you over, we're stealing all of your shit, we're going to destroy your nation, we're going to make you slaves, we're going to kill you off with diseases, we're going to experiment on you. It's because they're dishonest. But we're seeing now pieces of truth come up. Evidence that there's some kind of battle. Is it a battle for ultimate good? Hard to believe. Is it a battle for another faction to take control of the planet and run the new system that's coming in the new paradigm? It's possible. Right? Do you want to remain ignorant of that? Do you believe that shit will not hit the fan as a result of all that's going on? What's the whole point of this video, by the way, is to say, be a prepper, because look at what the fuck is going on out here. Look at it. Fucking sea containers owned by massive banks. Full, right? Billions of dollars in cocaine shipped into our ports. Presumably as if they would never be looked at and never be inspected. One cocaine-sniffing hound would probably keel over if it got anywhere near those shipping containers. Why isn't that done on every ship, every container, every port in the U.S. and around the world? Bring in a drug-sniffing dog. It's because the system isn't honest. They don't want drug-sniffing dogs in there. Because then the government that's allowing this and causing it to happen and benefiting by it would be exposed. It would expose another way that they control all the players in the system, which is not just with drugs, not just with prostitution, not just with backroom deals and glad handing and greasing of palms, but through the Epstein, right? Sexual licentiousness being used as a method and mean of bribery and extortion. What a world we have. And I didn't intend for this video to go well past half an hour. I really didn't. But it did. You know. I want you to think about this shit. Do you need to be a prepper? Yeah, things are kind of bad. People in your world, your 10-mile radius, yeah, they're a bunch of assholes. Right? At least 50% of them. Right now, and when things go bad, I'm sure a bigger percentage will turn into assholes for a variety of reasons that are out of their control. They're hungry, they're scared, they're thirsty, right? They're sick, they're cold, they're pissed, whatever, right? Whatever. But what is causing that? Right? Cause. What is the cause? Where's it coming from? This whole idea, though, that there's a battle that's going on and it's starting to surface is very fascinating. And that Trump could be, like I said, the public face of it. The Trump administration is going after Epstein. The Trump administration is exposing, right, how stupid these wars are. Exposing how stupid our finance and investment and trade is. I mean, we're learning what a bunch of assholes the U.S. government and their players have been by printing money and taking advantage of the world. And they're also exposing how fucked up these other countries are. Everyone is screwing everyone else. Right? The fact that we are engaged in bad trade deals and have been with NAFTA, North America, with South America, with Africa, with Europe, with China, with Japan. Everyone is just, they're screwed. They're screwed up. You know, so it's great that it's all being exposed. And what's the ultimate purpose of that? Is it to clean up the system? Or is it to do away with the current system and introduce a new one? Right? And believe me, I fear the new system that's coming probably more than the current one, because it's going to involve artificial intelligence. It's going to involve a greater lack of privacy by using computer controls, facial recognition, bioscans, everything they can to keep an eye on us and keep track of us, presumably for the benefit of us but it's going to empower the government. And if that system is ever taken over by these evil, rotten bastards now, it won't be used benevolently. It'll be used abusively. And that is very common in our world. You know, any new technology that comes out, the military gets to see if it can be militarized and weaponized. They come up with some new DNA stuff. Can we make a weapon out of it? They come up with a new new technology, new communication. Can it be weaponized? How can the military use it to retain supremacy? Well, we're losing supremacy in the United States. The United States government is demonstrating their weakness and their fear of the Russian technology by sanctioning and pissing and moaning and trying to punish everyone who wants to buy the Russian S-400 missile system. Why? Why are they giving them and lending and offering all that credibility to the Russian system by recognizing and acknowledging and throwing a hissy fit anytime someone purchases it? They're showing exactly how weak they are. Not really good, right? Not really good. You would think that they would find other ways to battle that. Anyways, it just goes to show how this system works. Everything is militarized, weaponized, used for extortion, graft, racketeering, and in all ways, everything illegal. While they come to us on the television and tell us, as they campaign for office, I'm going to do a good job. I'm going to get you entitlements. You're going to have a great retirement. Medical health care for everyone. You can't be turned away. Well, you can't be turned away anyways, right? And you have to pay for it, people. Right? All of these scumbag drug users out here, they're going to pay for it with their fucking health and their lives. The quality of life they have is crap. Right? People pay coming and going. The governments are there to benefit while they lie to us. They piss down our backs and tell us it's raining. Right? It's quite fascinating. Anyways, I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to continue to drink my iced tea. I'm going to continue to think. I'll do some relaxing also. Maybe go take a nice little walk, a stroll. It's hot, but it's not death-defyingly hot, you know. You know. The ignorance, the greed, the corruption is going to cause shit to hit the fan. People are blissfully ignorant, and they remain purposefully, blissfully unaware of what's coming, even though they know it and they should see it. Right? They're ignoring the facts. The facts are that it's coming, and that it's going to affect all of us. By being a prepper, at least you can protect yourself. Alrighty then, guys. I'll turn this thing off and quit my blathering. And I hope you enjoyed last week's Jim Willie interviews. And I've got more coming up, more interviews, more important people, more important ideas. We need to keep our eye on what's going on out there so that we don't get caught unawares, huh? Be prepared. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.